Hi everyone, my name's Kiku and I'm going to be making a video for you about how to fold a paper crane. So a lot of us are stuck inside because of COVID-19 and it's a scary time in the world and for a lot of people, and I know a lot of us have things on our mind and in our hearts. And I have a few different crane projects going on right now that I thought this tutorial would be helpful for. So I'm going to assume that you have origami paper. If you don't, it's not a problem, and I'm going to make another video soon about how to create a square so that you can fold a paper crane out of whatever paper you have at your house. But for now, I'm going to assume that you have origami paper, which is colored on one side and either white or a different color on the other side. It can also be a pattern. It doesn't really matter what your paper looks like. I have some that are pattern and then a color on the other side, but you can use any kind of paper. So to start with, we're going to fold this we're going to fold this piece of paper in half 4 times. The first time we fold it in half, take the color that you want the outside of your crane to be and put it on the inside of the folding in half as a triangle. So I want my crane to be green, so I'm going to make a white triangle because I want the inside of my crane to be white. And it's easier if you do this on a table or a flat surface, but I'm going to do it up in the air so that you can see. So another thing when you're making origami is to make sure that you're matching up the edges of the paper and the corners of the paper as precisely as you can. So I'm going to put this. So to start with, we're going to fold this we're going to fold this piece of paper in half 4 times. The first time we fold it in half, take the color that you want the outside of your crane to be and put it on the inside of the folding in half as a triangle. So I want my crane to be green, so I'm going to make a white triangle because I want the inside of my crane to be white. And it's easier if you do this on a table or a flat surface, but I'm going to do it up in the air so that you can see. So another thing when you're making origami is to make sure that you're matching up the edges of the paper and the corners of the paper as precisely as you can. So I'm going to put this a little bit closer so you can see. I want to make sure that the edges and the corners are all really well aligned, and you can do this on the table. And then while I'm pinching that corner, I can go down to the middle and kind of be careful that I'm making the edges well aligned, and I kind of pinch it like this because I'm doing it up in the air, but you can be doing this flat on the table. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side all the way out to the edges and just kind of working along this crease. And then once you feel like you have a good triangle, you can crease it with your fingernail, or if you're on the table, you can put it down and use the back of your fingernail or a pen or something like that to make sure you have a sharp crease. Okay. I'm not going to go into this much detail every time we fold, but the first time, try to make sure you're doing those things. So the second fold you're going to do, you're going to open it up again so you have a square, and you're going to make another triangle, again with the color you want the crane to be on the inside and the reverse color on the outside. So now I have my second white triangle, and I'm going to open it up again. So now I have a square with an X. So I'm going to fold it in half 2 more times, but this time I want the color that I want on the outside to be on the outside. So instead of making triangles, this time we're making rectangles like a hot dog bun. So again, match up the corners really well, match up the edges really well. Crease, And feel free to pause this video at any time if you need a little bit more time, if I'm going too fast. And then again, open it up all the way. So now you have an X with a line, and you have to do the last line. So again, you're going to fold it in half, rectangle way like a hot dog bun. Match up the corners. And now, if you open it up, you have 4 folds in half. 2 rectangle way with the color out, 2 triangle way with the inside color out. Okay, so if you have it this way, it's like a bowl with the color on the inside. We don't want it this way. We want it this way so that it's like a bowl with the white side up, or the inside of your crane up. So it's very easy to get it the right way. If you have it the wrong way, you just pop this middle part out. And now, if you just allow this paper to collapse along all of those folds we just made, it will end up kind of like an X. Can you see that? So we're just going to go over the anatomy of this piece of origami for a second. So you have 2 flaps on one side, 2 flaps on the other side, or if you're looking at it this way, like that. And we're just going to collapse this X down. So instead of being this 3-dimensional like fish kind of thing, you're going to put 2 sides together and the other 2 sides together. And now you should have a flat square. If it's not perfect, it's fine. You're going to be fine. So now there are different orientations for the square. You want to make sure that you have a vertical fold, not this way. You don't want it left to right. And the center of the piece of paper should be up. So you can be doing this flat on the table with it away from you. So the bottom, where all the little flaps are at the edges and corners of the paper, should be facing you. So if I'm sitting at the table, I want it like this, with the center of the paper away and all the flaps toward me. So now, this orientation is important because I'm going to be talking about the bottom edges and the top. So now you're going to take 1 flap out of the 4, one of them that's on top, and you're going to take this bottom edge, the one that has the little flaps, and bisect this angle here. So if you don't remember what bisect means, it means fold it in half. So you're going to match up this edge to the center line. So take it like this and pull it in. And it's okay if it doesn't match up perfectly with the center line, but you want it to be pretty close. The most important part is that you don't want it to go over the center line. So it should look something like this. And again, you can crease it with your fingernail or a pen or whatever you have. And then pretty much from here on out, whenever I tell you to do one step, you're going to do it 4 times. So you're going to do it one side and the other side, flip the paper over, one side, the other side. So I'll show you what that looks like. So I did the first one. Now I'm going to fold this one in too. And before you get too far ahead of yourself, just double check that and make sure that your flaps are on the bottom and the center of the paper is on the top. It's really easy to accidentally get this discombobulated and be folding the angle the wrong way. But don't worry, happens to everybody. Okay, so now turn this around and you're going to do the same thing. So folding this into the center line. Okay, so now you have a kite. Looks like a kite to me. You might think it looks like something else. Whatever works for you to remember. It's kind of a kite with these little doors. Another thing it looks like is an ice cream cone. So this triangle at the bottom is like the cone, and then this triangle at the top is like the ice cream. So now we're going to take the ice cream, and if you've folded cranes before, you don't have to do this step if you don't need it, but I think it helps if you're first learning. So you're going to take this top triangle and try to fold it straight along this line here, down towards yourself. So try not to fold it like just a little piece of the top. You really want to get corner to corner so that you have just one big triangle. Like, get rid of the ice cream part. And again, crease it. So it should look like this. One big ice cream cone with the ice cream folded inside. And now you're going to turn it over on the table so the ice cream is on the table. And you just have these flaps. Just the ice cream cone, not the ice cream. Okay? So now you're going to open up the flaps, and now it looks kind of like a cut diamond, like a diamond ring. And while it's lying flat on the table facing you, you should be able to see these flaps at the bottom still. You're going to lift up just this very top sheet of paper, open it wide like a mouth, like kind of like a frog or a fish, whatever you think. Lift up the nose of that animal, and you're going to see as you lift that piece of paper up, it starts to turn into like a canoe or a boat. And it's important that you get all the way up into the corners here. Sometimes people don't open their flaps all the way, and then when they start lifting this up, it gets kind of crumpled and crinkled. So just make sure you get all the way into those corners and pull it up like a canoe. And you're going to see these folds here that you created when you made this, when you folded the edges in. You see these creases? Right now they're going like this, and we just have to reverse them so that they're going the opposite direction. So when you get to this canoe part, you can flatten the bottom parts, and then you just have to zhuzh it a little bit up here in order to reverse the crease on the top part of this mouth or canoe or whatever you want to call it. So I hope that makes sense. So now you have a big diamond, not a diamond ring diamond, an actual diamond shape. I'm going to show you one more time in case you missed any of that. So now you're going to turn it over, and this time your ice cream is pointing down instead of up. So make sure you have the correct orientation still. You want the line on the bottom, and you're going to push your ice cream up again so you have this ice cream cone shape. You just have this extra thing up here. Ignore that. And then you're going to open these doors up. And this time it's a little bit trickier because you don't have that ice cream cone helping you with this cut diamond part with the mouth and the boat. But basically you're just going to do the same thing. So take this flap, just the top sheet. Stick your fingers in all the way up to these corners. Lift it up. Fold this part in. And then zhuzh the top so that you can get those creases going the right direction again. And you'll see, because I'm doing this up in the air and backwards, not facing me, I'm not getting this exactly right, and it's fine. It's going to be fine. So now this this kind of looks like a little person with their hands in the air, right? So there's a little head inside. This ice cream part has kind of turned into a head, and then they have their arms up and legs on the bottom. And I called this step the skinny legs step. So again, make sure you have the legs facing down, And we're going to do a very similar thing to what we did before with bisecting this bottom angle, except that now we're making it even skinnier. So again, you have 2 flaps on one side, 2 flaps on the other side. You're going to take just the very top flap, take this bottom edge, and line it up with the center line. And again, you want to get as close to the center line as you can, but don't cross over the center line because it will cause problems in the next step. So I'm lining that up, trying to go all the way down to the point, get it really nice and pointy, like that. So I'm matching this edge, and it's going to go up over the center line, the horizontal center line. It goes all the way up. And now this leg is starting to get a little bit skinnier, but we have to do the other side and then turn it over and do the other side. So I'm going to do this one again, skinny, make it close to the center, but not all the way, because if you cross the center line, it will make it difficult to do the next step. Crease it with your fingernail or a pen or something else. If you have a bone folder, that also works. And then turn it over. Make sure you're working on the legs and not the arms. And same thing. Bring this into the center, down to a nice sharp point. Crease it. And on the other side. Okay, and now we have our skinny legs. Okay, so this is not difficult once you get the hang of it, but it's very difficult for me to explain. So the next step is repairing which flaps are paired together. So if you look at it from the top, we still have that X there, and we have 2 flaps on one side, 2 flaps on the other side, and I'm basically just going to reverse which flaps are paired up together. So I'm going to make the top 2 paired up together and the bottom 2 paired up together. And if I did it right, now I have a fox. So again, it should be flat on the table, and you should have 2 flaps on one side, 2 flaps on the other side. We just flipped which flaps were paired up together. So there's these little ears and a nose at the bottom, and the fox is very tired, and he's going to make a big yawn. So take the nose of the fox, pull it all the way up, to the tippy tops of the fox's ears. And this might crumple up a little bit. Try to make sure that you get it nice and straight. And then pinch it, crease it, make it flat. Okay. Now turn it over. And the whole fox metaphor kind of breaks down because the bottom of his jaw is not there anymore. But you're basically going to do the same thing. So take the tip of the nose of the fox, pull it all the way up to the tippy top of the ears. And some people think this kind of looks like a bishop's cap. I don't know. I don't know what it looks like, but whatever you think it looks like, try to remember this is what it should look like. And then if you look at it from the bottom, again, we have these 2 flaps on each side, and we're going to reverse which ones are paired up. So pull the top 2 up and the bottom 2 down. And it might take a little bit of zhuzhing to get everything laying flat again, but you should be able to get it flat. And it looks a little bit like the bishop's cap, but you don't have that thing sticking up in the middle because those things got tucked in inside, those skinny legs. So you're almost done. Might not be able to tell, but this is almost done. So this flap here and this other flap here, if you pull them out, you'll see, you don't have to pull hard, just gently pull it out. And you'll see that these are the wings of the crane. and tucked up inside, the skinny legs have become the head and the tail. So these can stay this way, or you can kind of pull them out gently. I'm not pinching anything, I'm just kind of pulling it out at an angle. And then when you get it at the angle you like, you can gently pinch and kind of move the paper a little bit and pinch it to be sticking out at an angle. And you don't have to do this, but you can. And I'm just doing it so that you can see how you would do it. And then you can do the same thing on the other side. So right now this one is sticking straight up. I'm going to gently pull it out and pinch this so that it's at an angle. And the very last step is to make the head of the crane. So I always like to choose the point that doesn't look as nice. Leave the nice pointy one as the tail, and the other one I'll fold down as the head. So it's kind of a V shape. Do you see that? Or an A shape, I guess. It's like goes up and down. So you're going to stick your finger inside and flatten that. Bend it down. And reverse the direction that that fold is going, just on the very tip part. So on the very tip, it's going up and down. And after I flatten it, I'm going to make it go down and up. Just on that tip. Do you see that? And then I can bend the beak down and pinch right there. And then it'll stay that way. And that's a crane. You can leave your cranes flat, or if you want, you can pinch on either side of the body, pinch the wings like this, and then gently pull outward, and you can kind of rock your fingers in and out while you're pulling. And I'm kind of pulling down like this, like out, not just straight out, because then you might rip your paper. So kind of go like this, and the body will kind of poof open, and then you have a nice crane. So if you have problems with any of this, if you need a little bit of help, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll try to help you figure out where you got stuck. And happy folding!